What is the greatest challenge in Hypixel Skyblock? Well, realistically, it's probably M7. But what's the next greatest challenge in Hypixel Skyblock? Potentially M6, or maybe just a regular floor 4 because that is terrible. However, today, we're going to be talking about Infernal Kuudra. The highest tier of Kuudra, therefore the greatest challenge within Kuudra, requiring 12,000 reputation. Known for being one of the most profitable activities on the game, today we take a look at how much it actually costs to be able to do a tier 5 Kuudra. To be honest, I can't really think of many other things in the game where you actually need to spend this amount of money to actually be able to do a certain activity. But it's fun and it makes coins, so why not? Anyway, first of all, what armor do we need to complete a tier 5 Kuudra? Well, realistically, it's going to be an Aurora setup and also a Terra setup. Not really any debate. But here's the thing. Different parties complete tier 5 Kuudra in different ways. Some parties don't have crowd control, which means that realistically everyone has to chip in a little bit, hence why really you would need Aurora. Whereas if you're in a party where you went down the other route and did go for a crowd control, then it might not be essential. So it's difficult to say. Also, it depends what role you play. If you're going to stun, then you're also going to need something to mine with. Yeah, but that's not armor. And to be honest, the setup for Aurora is pretty self-explanatory with mana pool and mana regen, which is expensive, but it's good. At this point, Wither goggles are still better than a maxed out Aurora helmet, which I find really strange to be true. I don't even know if that is true or whether it's just not worth it at all. But everybody uses Wither goggles, so, you know, we're going to stick with the cheaper option. And of course then, depending on how far you upgrade your Aurora, depends on how much it costs. In terms of the tier of attributes, and then also the actual like level of Aurora. Is it hot? Is it burning? Is it fiery? I'd think when you're going into something like Infernal, it shouldn't be at least burning or fiery. And then you're also going to need a Terra setup. And to be honest, this probably isn't even really that good in reality for Infernal. But fortunately, when I do my Infernal runs, I already have a party together, so I shouldn't need to be that great in the runs. But anyway, we've got Terra here. Now, obviously, the actual attributes on the Terra kind of depend on, number one, how much money you've got, and number two, how good you are at the game. For instance, the actual real god roll on Terra at the moment is actually Lifeline Mana Pool. But, yeah. As I said, I'm not very good at the game, so it is just easier for me to use Dominance. Of course, a Warden Helmet as well, because at this stage when you're using the Terra, you're going to need to deal damage to Kuudra. And realistically, it probably should be burning. Now, I know I've put the price of this setup on the thumbnail, but it would be interesting to see what you think in the comments in terms of the breakdown of prices of the items, or armor sets, or weapons. Anyway, before we go any further, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel, it does help out a lot. And you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer slayers and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Now, while we're on the topic of armor, this Aurora setup is incredibly expensive. For what it is, it's really, really good, but really, really expensive. The thing that makes this setup so good is the attributes, mana pool and mana regen. Now, I'm just saying, if you don't have the coins to splash out on Godroll Aurora, there is no shame in buying Godroll Hollow, which is 7 mil for the chest plate, as opposed to, well, I'll let you guess, but it's over 200 mil just for a base chest plate. I've made a video about this armor set, and I know other people have in the past too, and it is really, really, really overlooked. For the price, it is not much different. I think I worked it out, and when at Infernal, the actual difference in intelligence on the whole set, from Hollow to Aurora, is about 400, which is minuscule for the price. Plus, even if you did decide, you know what, I want Aurora and I've already upgraded this armor, you can literally transfer the attributes over anyway, as long as you have, well, a god roll piece of Aurora. It's not better than Aurora, and I think a lot of people don't understand how good this can actually be. But yeah, just saying. Having said that, knowing people in Skyblock, if you turn up in this setup to a tier 5 Kuudra, you're probably just going to get spat on through the screen. You know, so if you want to deal with that, that's fine. Okay, then we also have the equipment. We have to think about the equipment. Now, all this is mana pool, mana regen 5. Which, yeah, is not too bad at all. It's expensive, but it's really good. Extra mana regeneration is really, really good. We also have more equipment with Dominance 5 on for when we switch to our Terra. So there is also that as well. A lot cheaper than the mana pool, mana regen, because I wasn't really bothered about the second attribute, but still not cheap. How about the weapons? Well, unfortunately for those people out there that are on a budget, you might just have to go and buy the two most expensive weapons in the game, being a Hyperion and also a Terminator. A Hyperion, I mean, it's tier 5, so you're going to need a Hyperion. There's no really two ways around it, you'll just get kicked otherwise. But this is just mainly for, I'd guess, doing your part in clearing here and there. And then, of course, the Terminator is completely and utterly mandatory, or else you would be useless, because you need to deal damage to Kuudra. Of course, this is used with the Terror, and also the Dominance equipment. Well, how about the pet? Well, realistically, it's going to be a G-Drag. You're going to do tier 5. You need, realistically, to complete it properly, you're going to need everything the best. You know, we're not really holding back on coins here, we're not on a budget. So level 200 G-Drag is definitely the play. Naturally, you're also going to need $1 billion in the bank. Realistically, this pet is just the most versatile pet in the game and is pretty much the best in majority of situations. Now think about it, there's other hidden costs, like realistically there's a lot of perks in this this shop right here that you could do with upgrading to the max. I've not done that, and it's expensive, but it's definitely worth doing. I mean, I need to actually do this. I mean, if you really look into it, you've even got like your magical power. Like, how much does it cost to get this magical power? Probably quite a lot. I'm not going to include that into the cost, but there's still lots of hidden costs. Now, luckily I'm in a situation, like I said before, where I already have a party together, because I'm planning on doing quite a few Infernal runs in the near future. So I'm in a situation where people in the party have already done a decent amount of tier 5s. So I need to exist in those runs, but I don't need to be the most prominent player. I just need to not throw. And I know not everybody will have the luxury of having that. I mean, some people will, sure, but not a lot of people will. You know, I've just got the basic gear to do it. Like, there's a lot more items that are probably recommended. For instance, if we take a look at this forum post, what do I need for tier 5 Kuudra? Terminator Hyperion, yeah. G-Drag 1 billion bank, yes. Overflux, which I actually forgot to even mention. I do have one, but yeah. Terror, 3-Force Terror, yep. Hot Aurora, yep. Gyro, something I didn't even think about. Fire Veil, something that I also have. 850 magical power, which is not the most expensive thing to get. Gauntlet with powder, yeah, sure, if you're going to stun. Also a Precursor Eye. So, maybe some of the things I have are a little bit overkill, but I guess the overkillness of my setup probably makes up for the skill issue, so fair enough. But anyway, like you saw in the thumbnail, the armor, both sets of armor, the 2 weapons, the pet, the 1 billion coin in the bank, both sets of equipment, adds up to around about 7.2 billion. So yeah. But here's the crazy thing, that doesn't even include the cost of the keys that you actually need to open the chests. I mean, sure, you can do runs and not open the chest. You could have one key and just wait for a really good drop. But the thing is with Infernal Kuudra, is majority of the chests are quite a large amount of profit. Here, look, let's see. One Infernal key costs 2.3, let's call it 2.4 million, okay? And also 120 enchanted red sand. So for every key, you're going to pay 920 million coins for red sand. Meaning that each key costs around about 3.3 million. And 2 nether stars that you need to grind for. Now you can quite clearly see how this could be expensive. Open 10 chests and that is what, 33 million. Open 100 chests and that's 330 million. Plus the ridiculous amount of stars that you're also going to need. 3 weeks ago I uploaded this video where I did 50 tier 4 Kuudra runs. And no joke, made 92 million coins per hour. Now of course I know a lot of this is attributed to RNG. But prior to that, I did 50 burning rooms and made 35 mil per hour. Which means that Kuudra is quite obviously a serious moneymaker. So is it worth the investment? Well, it's got to be a yes, surely. It is probably almost the peak of money making. Or at least potential for money making. We'll find out sooner rather than later. In the near future, I plan to do 100 tier 5 Kuudra runs and open every single chest. So look out for that. I mean, in all honesty, you might think it's a steep investment, but you've got to think. A lot of these items that you use are not just going to be used for Kuudra. For instance, the Terminator and Hyperion can be used throughout the game. Also, the Terror and Aurora can be used throughout the game. There isn't really anything that you buy that is just specific for Kuudra. So, yeah. It's not going to be like if you decide not to do Kuudra, then the rest of the things that you've already bought are a complete waste. But anyway, let me know in the comments, do you think it's worth spending over 7 billion coins to be able to do tier 5 Kuudra? Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.